Hello and welcome back to Matt Hayes Tottenham blog and to another Tottenham Hotspur transfer talk live stream. Today we got the news we were waiting for, we got the words we were waiting for from Fabrizio Romano. Tottenham have completed the signings of Gareth Bale and Sergio Reguilon. All we are waiting for now is the official announcement from the club, which is expected to come tomorrow. So before we get into the updates we have on these two deals, if you are new to the channel and you do want more transfer videos, transfer live streams, match previews, reviews and general Tottenham analysis videos, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below and click the notification bell so you get notified every time I upload. Today we're also going to have a bit more on Tottenham's search for a striker, as there have been a few setbacks on that one, potentially a few more targets opening up at the moment as well. But we'll be talking a bit more about that, and as well Tottenham's pursuit of a centre-back. Sorry about the audio there, just having some problems with my software, and hopefully it'll improve. Welcome Ace and Michael along to the stream. So the updates we got today on Gareth Bale and Sergio Reguilon. Again, it was slow bits of news coming out all through the day, a little bit here, a little bit there, but it seems as though the situation at the moment is Gareth Bale and Sergio Reguilon are still in Madrid. But today they undertook their medicals at a hospital in Madrid, abiding by all COVID-19 guidelines and things like that. And they both have undergone their medicals. There have been no problems in those, and they are set to fly to London tomorrow morning to put the final details on their deals to join Tottenham. I assume to also do their media obligations with regards to their interview, the first day of training that Tottenham do like to do with their new signings. But it is all but confirmed from the club that Gareth Bale and Sergio Reguilon have signed with Tottenham Hotspur. Two absolutely massive deals, I think, one in terms of profile and the other in terms of getting in a really high quality fullback that was attracting interest from some of the biggest clubs around Europe. We heard that Reguilon himself had actually wanted to move to Manchester United, but after he was contacted by Jose Mourinho, the manager managed to convince him that Tottenham was the place for him. And it worked. Sergio Reguilon, that deal looks a bit more straightforward. I think that's been done for a bit longer than this Gareth Bale deal. But again, these slow bits of news coming in throughout the day that Gareth Bale has now completed his transfer to Tottenham, and they will both be announced tomorrow. As Ace was asking at the start of the stream, when are they going to get announced? As I was saying, they are still in Madrid and they're expected to fly out to London on a private jet in the morning. So, as you say, you'd hope it will be announced at 8 AM tomorrow morning. It doesn't look as though that is going to be possible. They'll be flying into London. As I said, the final details on those contracts are going to be sorted out. They're going to have to sign those contracts, and then it's going to be a case of doing everything they need to do for the announcement. So it could be late afternoon, early evening before we actually do get that announcement. I think looking at the times we've announced things in the past, it's either been 10 AM or 5 PM. So I think we'll be leaning more towards that 5 PM announcement tomorrow evening. So it could be another day of just sitting around waiting, but at least that's what it is. I'd rather be sitting here waiting for the confirmation than sitting here wondering if it is actually going to happen. I think we can be very, very confident that these two deals will be announced tomorrow. As Fabrizio Romano, our number one transfer source, he's given his special here we go on these two deals, which is as good as an official announcement in recent years with regards to his reliability as a journalist. John T. Arnold asking about Dele Alli says, if we sell Alli, what do you think his value would be? He clearly won't play as much if Gareth Bale comes in. I don't think we're going to sell him. I really don't. Jose Mourinho himself says that he doesn't want to let Dele Alli go. Him being taken off against Everton at halftime earlier in the week was completely unrelated to anything to do with transfers. It was simply Mourinho wanted to make a change to the system, a change to the way we were playing, and while it didn't work, that taking Ali off had absolutely nothing to do with transfers. Alistair Gold even saying today and yesterday, Paul Gilmore from Sky Sports saying as well, Tottenham have no intentions of signing Dele Alli. So while the discussion of what his value will be, it's anybody's guess, to be honest, especially in today's market in terms of the way inflation has really taken hold of the transfer market, but also the current global situation. The money doesn't seem to be there for a lot of clubs. It'd be very difficult to predict what his value would be, but I don't think it does matter, because I do think Ali will be staying at the club beyond this season. And I'm sure we've all seen at this stage the tweet that he actually liked this morning. I'm not sure if he is still. If he is unlike that yet. It was just a tweet about Tottenham's best 11, and it was one that he wasn't in, and it's still there actually. He hasn't unliked that yet. I'll try to get it up there on the screen. It's a tweet from the Spurs Express where he says, with the signings of Gareth Bale and Sergio Reguilon close to completion, who would make your Spurs starting 11? We'll start. And you see that midfield there with Højbjerg, Lo Celso and Ndombele. No Dele Alli in that lineup, but it is right at the top there of Dele Alli's liked tweets. and people immediately said, "Oh, that's him accepting he's been sold." That's we're hearing from behind the scenes from him, and people do like to read into those things. It's always going to happen. It's no surprise that it did happen, but I don't think we'll be seeing Dele Alli leave the club this summer. Justin Grayson, good evening. Good news for new signing. Hopefully it improves our form on the pitch as we are looking awful. It was another, I wouldn't say it was another lacklustre, disappointing performance today, but it was another difficult watch for us as fans. It was a very, very strange game, because in that first half we created a lot of opportunities. We tested the keeper from range. Son had a few chances. Berg went hitting the crossbar. Davis, Doherty, even though he was offside in the end, we came very close to scoring quite a bit in that game, and it was just from start to finish. It was a bizarre game. With the stream on, almost everybody's stream was going. The reliable TV channels were going as well. We had 2 red cards for Lokomotiv Plovdiv, and apparently there's some sources claiming there was actually a 3rd red card, but I'm not sure that was entirely true. It was a bizarre game, but I think we do definitely need to bring in these players and improve what we're doing on the pitch, because if it wasn't as I do think we played well tonight to some extent, but it wasn't enough to beat a team like Lokomotiv Plovdiv, which is an immediate concern. Bradley saying, after tonight's game we need Bale and Sergio now. Wayne saying, any names on potential centre-backs? We really need to sort that position out ASAP, have needed to for the last 2 or 3 years. As it stands, there is no names with regards to the potential centre-backs we could be signing. We've mentioned in the last few nights Kalidou Koulibaly, and there is a potential development on that. His move to Manchester City seems to have hit a stumbling block. Now, I don't think we will be able to afford him. I really do not see him joining the club this summer, but I know it is a name a lot of fans have mentioned in recent weeks. He looked destined to be joining Man City, but that may actually be off now. City potentially going in for Jose Maria Jimenez, who plays with Atletico Madrid. But in terms of concrete targets for us, again, it was Kim Min-jae at the start of the summer, but that seems to be gone now. He's either staying at Beijing Guan or potentially moving on to Lazio, as we've heard in the last couple of days. I agree that we do need to sort it out, not in terms of our starting 11, but with depth there, because beyond Alderweireld, Dyer and Sanchez, we don't have any experienced first team centre backs. And I know we have players like Tanganga, Foyth, who can play there, and Davis, who I suppose in a 3 at the back can also play in a left centre back role. I don't think we have enough there to move into the season ahead with confidence. Stephen Flynn saying, great news, and boy do we need them after watching tonight's match. What happened, Ben Davis? He was bombing forward tonight, and I think the most positive thing from tonight's game was Tanguy Ndombele scoring a goal. His confidence got a shot in the arm. Davis was playing very advanced tonight, and it was it resembled the tactics we had in 2016-17, where it was Walker and Rose bombing on either side, and then we Eric Dyer sitting in centre back role. But of course Dyer started there tonight. It was Højbjerg was dropping deep between those 2 centre backs and pulling the strings on a number of occasions. So perhaps that is something we could see a bit more from Ben Davis this season. Maybe Reguilon isn't going to be our only attacking left back option. And yeah, as well, Ndombele, massive boost for him with getting that goal. It was a fantastic move for that goal. A very sloppy finish in the end. I think Ndombele was lucky to see that one crawl over the line, but a big confidence boost for him to get that goal. And as we were saying on We Are Tottenham TV there on their post-match live stream, it's a bit ironic that it was Tanguy Ndombele who bailed out Jose Mourinho with that late winner. Welcome Steve along to the stream there as well. Espen Anderson saying, what's your personal opinion on Dyer? I just can't see how we'll get anywhere as long as Mourinho keeps playing him. I'm not as much of a fan of Dyer as Jose Mourinho is, and I haven't, I wouldn't say I've kept that a secret or anything. Dyer is a player who certainly spits opinion among the fan base, and he's very inconsistent. He's had periods where he's been exceptional for us, and he's had periods where he's been absolutely abysmal. I think he does offer something in centre back though that Davinson Sanchez doesn't, and that comes with his ability on the ball, having previously played in midfield and having that experience. I wouldn't say as a ball playing midfielder, as a midfielder who'll pick out those key passes, but simply just playing in that area and being in a team where he has had to keep the ball for so long. I think that midfield experience will make him more confident and more capable on the ball at the back than Davinson Sanchez. So I think Dyer definitely does offer us something, and he is, he's the manager is a massive fan of him. We know Mourinho tried to bring Eric Dyer to Manchester United when he was there for those couple of years. So I think we can sit here all we want and we can make our own judgments on these players, but at the end of the day, the manager is the one who knows what he needs from the team more than anybody else, and he seems to be such a big fan of Dyer that he again tried to bring him to another club. So as much as we can have our own opinions, I think we can't ignore the fact that Jose Mourinho is such a big fan of him, because that says more than his performances can, to be honest. We're saying 5 at the back yesterday, but then we only have space for 2 midfielders. Who would those be? I suppose it wouldn't just be two midfielders. We could have three midfielders in there. It could be a 5-3-2, a 5-2-1-2. But essentially, when we do play five at the back, the way players, I imagine it would be Reguilon and Doherty would be playing, they would be so far advanced, they'd almost be midfielders themselves. So we could call it a 5-2-1-2, we could call it a 3-4-1-2. It depends on what way you look at it, and it depends on what way the game goes, I suppose. If we are controlling a game, it would be more the 3-4-1-2. But if we're defensive and we're being dominated, then you could look at it as a 5-2-1-2. Bradley saying, Matt, do you think this could be in Ndombele's season? He looks fitter and stronger and sharp should he start every week. It's looking a bit promising for Ndombele, especially the comments Jose Mourinho made after the game tonight, where he said he's never doubted Ndombele's quality, he only doubted his motivation and his desire. So the fact that Mourinho is no longer doubting that, and he's very confident that the player can come on and do well for us this season, I think we could definitely see a good season for Ndombele this year. Now to dive back into those transfers again, as we've said, Bale and Regulon done deals, just waiting for an official announcement tomorrow, which we do expect late tomorrow afternoon. We see in the comments there Ace talking about Andrea Bellotti, and we have a massive setback. This deal is off. We will not be signing Andrea Bellotti this summer. This is despite Tottenham making a new and improved offer to Torino on Monday in an effort to sign Andrea Bellotti. The news about this being off is coming from the one and only Fabrizio Romano. He has said this evening that Andrea Bellotti will be staying at Torino, so there'll be no move to Tottenham for him this summer. It's very disappointing. I wouldn't say it's the most surprising thing in the world. I did think this was a deal that we could get over the line, but I was never overly confident saying this is definitely going to happen. It was always going to be a difficult one to manoeuvre. But as Fabrizio Romano says, we get the tweet up here. And no Andrea Bellotti, he's going to stay at Torino, and no Alexander Sorloth, he's joining Leipzig on a permanent deal as new backup striker for Tottenham. The club is going to complete Bale deal and to announce Regulon signing on the next few hours, and then they'll go for a new striker. So Romano confirming that we are still in the market for a striker, but it is not going to be Bellotti. And with the links we've had in the last few days, Trabzonspor striker Alexander Sorloth, that's not going to be happening. He is joining RB Leipzig on a permanent deal. There's also updates on Arkadiusz Milik. If you can find it there, I'm not sure if it's there. It is. Arkadiusz Milik is getting closer to AS Roma. He's talking with his agent. Just get this graphic from Milik up here as well. Disappointing with these two. There were two players that I would like to have seen us bring in, but as Romano says, Arkadiusz Milik is getting closer to AS Roma. He's talking with his agent to reach final agreement on personal terms in the next few hours. He's signing a 5-year contract there. If Milik will join Roma, Edin Dzeko will be the new Juventus striker. Edin is ready to sign. And it says down here as well, the deal will be completed if Milik will agree personal terms with Roma, which looks like it will happen. So two striker targets there, not going to be coming in this summer. Not the biggest losses in the world, because again, they weren't the most realistic deals to start with. But it does look as though those two are off. Now, there's two big strikers at the moment who are look to be free agents. These are ones that I'm not going to sit here and say I hope we sign them. I'm not going to sit here and say I think we're going to sign them, but it's just food for thought. Luis Suarez tonight, his deal to Juventus has fallen through. Is one that looked very likely to happen. Barcelona seemingly willing to let him go on a free contract. Ronald Koeman not a fan of him and not wanting to. He doesn't have him in his plans at all for the future. So it doesn't look as though Suarez will be going to there. Barcelona potentially in talks with Atletico Madrid now to see him move there, but that's a very difficult deal, especially considering the rivalry, the domestic rivalry that is there between Barcelona and Atletico Madrid. Another striker who tonight has become a free agent is Gonzalo Higuain. Now, if I do recall, I think it's looking likely that he may move to Inter Miami. Of course, David Beckham's new team over in the MLS, but he is for now a free agent. There's no confirmation that he will be moving anywhere. So two big strikers who have won a lot, clinical international players, free agents for now. Suarez, I think, I doubt either of these are going to happen, but if it was one of them, I think Suarez will be one that's better to look into, because Higuain may just be going to Inter Miami. But as we see here from Jose Mourinho saying last week or the week before, talking about signing a striker, he made it very, very clear that we want a striker, we need a striker. He knows that, the board knows that. And from what we've been hearing from the journalists in the last couple of days, Fabrizio Romano, Sky Sports, Alistair Gold, it does look as though Tottenham are working to bring in a striker. Just who that's going to be that's the next big question. There's been a lot of reports in the last couple of days, mainly today, that Tottenham have gone in with an inquiry for Danny Ings. a player who had a sensational run of form last season, scored I think over 20 goals and was one of the top scorers in the Premier League in a Southampton side who early on in the season were relegation threatened but managed to turn that around after their 9-0 defeat to Southampton in October, and he was one of the main parts of that, as was a player we've already signed, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. So I think we will see a lot of movement with regards to this one in the coming weeks. Of course, about 3 weeks now left in the main transfer window, and then an extra, I think it's 10 days where we can sign from EFL clubs. The business is not done yet. There's no doubt about that. It's what we've been hearing from everybody today. The business is not done with Bale and Regulon. We still want a striker and we still want a centre back. It's crazy to see this sort of money being splashed. We still don't know the exact details of this Gareth Bale deal. There's a lot of varying rumours on that. As for Sergio Reguilon, it is going to be a €30 million transfer fee, which is about £27.6 million. We'll get that deal over the line. Of course, there is these clauses, the buyback clause, the preemption clause in his contract. But as for now, it is €30 million add-ons included in that for us to sign Sergio Reguilon. I suppose the main consensus with regards to this Gareth Bale deal is it's going to be a 1-year loan that will cost us in terms of fees and wages about £20 million altogether this season, which is an exorbitant amount of money to pay for a 1-season loan. But I think it does offer us a bit of... He puts us kind of ahead of everyone else. When Bale does leave Real Madrid permanently, where's he going to go? I think Tottenham is a place where he could potentially see out his career. Is a place where he would want to see out his career. We've heard from his agent quite a bit that Tottenham is his home. He loves Tottenham. He's told Jose Mourinho the club has a special place in his heart. So I do think, even though it is just a 1-season loan, Wayne asking here, is it just a 1-season loan or is there an option or obligation to buy at the end of it? I haven't seen any reports at all with regards to an option or obligation to buy, but Bale does only have 2 years left on his contract with Real Madrid. If it is going to be a 1-year loan, of course, then 1 year left in his contract. If we do want to make it permanent, then I think it would be for a cut price, considering Real Madrid would run the risk of letting him go for free, and they do want to get him out of the club so much. I think aside from that, our only other option would really be the 2-year loan deal that a lot of people have been talking about. And then, of course, when that loan deal comes up, he'll be a free agent and we can just pick him up for free then. Assuming, of course, things go well with him at the club when he does sign, which we'd have to dream and have to expect it to do, that it will go well. Aaron saying escape in Bulgaria, there's no doubt about that tonight. Darren saying, do you think we will end up with Deeney? And Stephen saying, as far as it going down the Josh King road, i.e. an average striker, why not Shane Long, great hold-up player? As for Troy Deeney, I haven't seen this. Never thought this was going to happen. It was one that was kind of bubbling under the surface, but for me, it kind of felt more like because it was getting so much airtime. It was because we were looking at these big potential signings: Belotti, Milik, Diallo, Patsandaka, and this first story may have come out about us looking into Troy Deeney, and then Tottenham fans saying, oh, of course, we've linked all these big players and now it's going to be Troy Deeney. And that's where I think that story gained momentum. It gathered pace in the press. I never thought this was a particularly realistic one, and it's definitely not one that I would want us to do. So I personally do not think Deeney is even in the mix at the moment. But if it does come to the 8th of October or whatever it is when the main transfer window closes and we still haven't brought in a striker, and then we look towards the EFL, as Stephen is asking if Josh King is there, there aren't many options down in the EFL because the two best players, Ollie Watkins and Callum Wilson, have already made their move to the Premier League. So if it gets to them without a striker signing, I think that's when I'll start to worry that we could end up with a player like Troy Deeney. As for Josh King, calling him an average striker, I suppose he's not the best out there, but I do think he would be a good option. One that Manchester United were really looking into and were disappointed not to complete a signing for him in January. In terms of the players that are left down in the Championship, I think Josh King will be right up there in the bracket of forwards. Shane Long, I wouldn't be too optimistic. I wouldn't be happy if we did get him in, to put it bluntly. He's 33 years of age. I'm not sure if he actually has featured for the Irish team lately, but he has lost it in recent years. The main thing he did have was that pace, that he just chased down every single ball that you could put in the opposition half. But I'm not sure he does have that ability anymore. And saying he's a great hold-up player, I'm not sure that he does have that anymore. He's not the biggest player physically, so I don't think he would be a great option for us. Nightshade saying, I said Ings last week, I feel better than Bale. I wouldn't say Ings is better than Bale, not at all. I think if it is a case of one of the two, Bale is without a doubt the better option. I think Ings, he did really well. I think it was at Burnley when he first came into the Premier League. Then he made that big move to Liverpool and he couldn't do it on that stage, and he's gone back down to Southampton, and it has taken him a while, but he has now become a very good player for them, as I said, scoring in and around 20 goals in the Premier League last season. Just to take a look here at what Dermot Sheth of Sky Sports News has had to say about Tottenham's striker search. This was earlier today, actually just about an hour ago. He said, all we were talking about pre-Gareth Bale was if Tottenham would sign another striker, and the question now is, with Bale arriving, are Tottenham not going to be in the market for another striker? We've been told it's not been ruled out. Of course, the arrival of Bale and the accompanying wages, plus the transfer fee and wages for Sergio Reguilon, would impact on other outlays for potential transfers. But Tottenham's search for a striker is not new. We've been talking about a backup or someone to play alongside Harry Kane for the last few transfer windows. They brought in Fernando Llorente and Vincent Janssen, but it didn't really work out. Maybe Llorente did to a certain extent, so they want to be careful about who they bring in and the type of player they bring in. Are they going to bring in a player who is going to be satisfied as a backup to Kane? Jose Mourinho said he doesn't want a player with that attitude. He wants a player to come in and say, I can get into the team. There were a number of names linked, including Alexander Sorloth. Some say quite surprisingly. He was on loan from Crystal Palace to Trabzonspor, and now we understand he's on his way to RB Leipzig. It's a long list of striking targets for Tottenham, but Sorloth does not appear to be on that list anymore. And as I was saying, Andrea Bellotti and Arkadiusz Milik are also not on that list anymore, with Bellotti looking set to stay at Torino and Arkadiusz Milik moving to Roma very, very soon. So we're back at square one, almost in our search of a striker. These main targets that we did have, even looking back to more recently with Patson Daka, who has chosen to stay at RB Salzburg, these main targets don't seem to be happening. And I'm not, I think in recent years it's been very easy to get pessimistic about these deals when our main targets have fallen through. But given the business Tottenham have done last summer, highest net spenders in the Premier League, and now this year making moves again, making 2-3 very smart signings at the start of the window, but now we're making these big signings, of course, with Gareth Bale and Sergio Reguilon. I would be quietly optimistic that we can get in a striker, and we can get in, as we've been saying, a centre-back before the window closes. And again, we don't have targets there, we don't have names to put to what Tottenham are looking into now, but I am quietly confident we can get those deals done. And just to bring you another transfer update, which came from Sky Sports tonight with regards to Danny Rose. We heard from Sky, I think it was last week or the week before, that Rose was closing in on a move to join Genoa in the Serie A. However, there again, as there always is with whatever transfer Tottenham are involved in, a potential setback in that one. They've said earlier this afternoon, talks remain ongoing over a proposed move for Tottenham's Danny Rose to Serie A side Genoa. Progress has been described as slow, with the Italian club unable to pay his current wages in full, but the two sides are trying to find a compromise, with Spurs keen for Rose to move on. Tottenham would prefer to sell permanently, but a loan with a fee for the remaining year of his contract remains an option. Of course, 1 year left in that. If he does go out on loan, it will be the last we see of him in a Tottenham jersey. Spurs are set to sign left-back Sergio Reguilon and still have Ben Davies and Ryan Sessegnon at the club, although the latter could leave on loan before the end of the window. So that one I'd actually seen so far, Sky Sports thinking that potentially Ryan Sessegnon could be moving out on loan. And thank you very much, Lucy, there for the super chat. Like your live stream, it's cool. I appreciate that. Ben saying Spurs representative, heard Kim Min-jae is coming from a Spurs representative in China. The latest I saw on Kim Min-jae, just give it a quick search here, is that he could potentially be moving on to Lazio this summer. We got a little transfer blow, I think in the last week or the week before, when apparently Kim Min-jae had decided against moving to Tottenham, and he decided to stay at Beijing Guan. He went in and apologised to all his teammates and whatever for the speculation that was in the press. In the last couple of days, it looks more likely that he could be moving to Lazio. But if it is an option for him to come to us, and even just a quick search of his name here, and it is links with Tottenham again that are popping up in the last day or two, it would be a fantastic signing. He's a player who his nickname in China is the Monster. He's a very commanding physical centre back who seems to win every single ball that comes anywhere near him. I would be happy if we completed the signing. In terms of the CSL, obviously it's not the highest quality league in the world. We do have to take that into consideration. But of the players that are there, he's a player that definitely stands out in the CSL. And it's good that we're being linked with players who probably wouldn't be. They're not in terms of the mainstream, they're not the best centre-backs in the world. It looks like there has been quite a bit of looking into this done. The recruitment are doing their work, because they're not just picking out, he's the best centre-back in the world, let's try and get him. It's, I think, a clever signing, and one that will be reflected in the transfer fee, because it won't be the 40, 50, 60 million Manchester City are looking at spending on a centre-back. It'll be a lot lower than that. And although it is a risk always when you're bringing in a player from a different league, it is what I think would be a very good signing for us. Wayne saying, do we have any young strikers at the club we could bring in as well as buying a striker? So the youngster can learn by being with the first team squad and possibly as a 2 up front with experienced forwards. Well, I suppose the main one at the club at the moment is of course Troy Parrott, but he's gone out on loan to Millwall for the season, which I think was a deal that was done a bit prematurely. I think we should have held on to him for a bit more to see if we could potentially get a striker in before letting him go. So I think if it does by some crazy thing end up that we don't bring in a striker in this window, I think then we'll start to regret letting Troy Parrott go, because we do have, of course, players like Hyman's son, Gareth Bale, Lucas Moura, who can play in that striker role, but they're not out and out strikers, and of course having to put them in that position takes away from the options we do have just behind them. But I think aside from that, maybe Kazea Sterling, but he seems to be playing with the Premier League 2 side at the moment, the under-23s. I can't think of any other names that are in there at the moment. Mr. Music Man saying, what are your thoughts on links to Wout Weghorst? Seems fairly ideal for what we need. And I think I was live the other night. Was it last night when these rumours on Wout Weghorst did start to surface? He's a player who I think gathered a lot of. He really got in the press last season and gathered a big following from his performances with Wolfsburg. I think in the Bundesliga he scored 16 goals last season, which is fairly similar to the numbers we've seen from Andrea Bellotti. But he's huge. I think he's 6'7". He's a dominant player. He's known, of course, for his physicality, winning these aerial duels and all that stuff. But his numbers are good. His return is good. 16 goals, I think, in 31 appearances in the Bundesliga last season, which I think is, personally, I do think the Bundesliga in terms of quality is the best league in the world. Every team there tries to play football. You never come up against a team like Burnley who park the bus and hope to get a point off you. In the Bundesliga, it is all about playing football, whether you're top of the table or bottom of the table. It doesn't even compare to the Premier League in terms of entertainment and stuff like that. But in terms of quality, I do think it is one of the best leagues in the world, if not the best. And the fact that Wout Weghorst can do it there, I think suggests he may be able to do it in the Premier League as well. So I would be happy to see that one done. But the rumours are very early on. It's very preliminary stages of all this. So we'll have to wait and see where that one goes. Tobias saying, when do you think Bale could go to Spurs? I think it's going to be a case of, as I said, a late afternoon, early evening announcement tomorrow. The latest that we have on these is both Gareth Bale and Sergio Reguilon are still in Madrid, where they both underwent their medicals today. I assume that went without any sort of problems, because we haven't heard of that in the deals as we got from Fabrizio Romano. Here we go. The deals are going ahead. I think it will be a late announcement tomorrow, because they have to fly into London in the morning, complete the final little details on their contract, put pen to paper, and then it's going to be all these media obligations with getting that interview done, getting the pictures done, the first day of training that Tottenham always do. So I think it will be a bit later tomorrow, and it is at this stage a waiting game, which, as I said earlier in the stream, it's better to be sitting around waiting for confirmation rather than sitting here wondering, is it going to happen? So the fact that I think we've gone from the bid being made and close to the deal being agreed in the space of a little over 48 hours, we're extremely confident these deals are going to get done, and they look like they are done. Most media outlets reporting that Tottenham have completed these signings. It's just waiting for that official announcement now. I think I'm happy to be sitting here waiting around for these deals to be completed. I don't think either of them are going to be registered in time to play this weekend. I think the deadline for that was actually today. So I know it would have been great to see Gareth Bale making his debut against Southampton, but I think it will be, it could be next week against Leyton Orient, or Shkendia, this Macedonian team are going to be playing. I can't even remember the name. Or is it going to be our league game after that for Reguilon or Bale? And even with Bale, we've heard it's going to be a month before he's match fit, so it could be even longer for him. But yeah, no, I do think these deals are going to be announced tomorrow. Martin asking, reckon you loaned Parrott out too early? And I do think we did, because he didn't get a massive amount of first team game time last season. He featured a bit in the Cup. I think he made his Premier League debut early in Mourinho's reign as well. A bit disappointing when he did feature. Remember that FA Cup game against Norwich, where he missed a penalty in the shootout, and of course we ended up getting knocked out. But I think when Harry Kane is our only striker option, we're actually the only team in the top 5 leagues of Europe that only have one out and out striker in their squad, and that is because we have loaned Troy Parrott out. It is unlikely that we're not going to bring in a striker this summer. I do really feel as though we will get a deal over the line, but by some strange occurrence that we don't get that done, we're going to regret loaning Parrott out. And I know it's perhaps better for him to get into that Millwall training session early, into their training ground and all that early, getting into that team as quickly as he can. And he's been doing very well for them. We've seen clips of him training, clips from friendlies and things like that. He has had a good start there. But I think from the club's point of view, we may regret loaning him out so early again if we don't get a striker. Noy saying Blotti can play with Kane because they won't step in each other. Milik can't. Unfortunately, neither of them will be playing with Kane next year. The news coming out tonight is that Andrea Bellotti is going to be staying at Torino, and Arkadiusz Milik is moving on to AS Roma. Both these updates coming from Fabrizio Romano. Very, very unlikely that we will be signing either of those two. So while one of them may be better to play with Kane, neither of them will be playing with Kane, unfortunately. Porav saying, we have our foreign quota over when we signed Højbjerg, so by signing Reguilon we have to offload a foreign player. I didn't know that. I'm not too sure what the numbers are with regards to that, but in terms of the Bale signing, he is of course a homegrown player, having come through the ranks at Southampton. I think we will see some departures this season as well, or this summer. I think Sergio Reguilon is one that, I know rumours have died down in recent weeks, but I still think he's one that could be offloaded this summer. Thinking off the top of my head, other players that could be leaving. I know Eric Lamela is a name that's being touted as potentially moving on this summer, mainly because of the signing of Gareth Bale. I'm not too sure that's going to be the case. I think from what we saw tonight, he was, as I always say with him, he's not technically the best player, but he is one of the best people that we can have on the pitch in a game like tonight, because he'll chase down every ball and he let the opposition know he's there. I think I would be unhappy if he did move on this summer, but we'll have to wait and see where that goes. I think we will see foreign players, potentially even one or two homegrown players as well, Danny Rose especially, leaving the club this summer. Wayne saying, I don't think we should have loaned Skip out this season. He would have had plenty of opportunities. And I think that was one I was definitely surprised about when we did loan him out, especially that he was going to a championship team. He started very, very well for Norwich. His first league game for them, he was awarded man of the match, and the fans have already fallen in love with him from his early performances there. I think it could be a similar situation to Parrott. We might just regret loaning him out so early. We have of course got Højbjerg in, but we know the injuries we do suffer, and we know the situation we're in this season in terms of fixture congestion, and where we are now quietly confident about the season ahead because of the signings we're making, and thankfully just about getting this victory over the line tonight. That could all change in a matter of weeks if we do lose. If we lose Harry Kane to injury, if we lose one or two midfielders, if we lose a centre back, things will look very, very different then. But I think perhaps it is better for Skip to have gotten that loan out, because he's going to get a lot more game time down there than he will with Tottenham. But as you say, I think he would have had some opportunities this season to get into the first team, and we'll have to wait and see how he goes with that and what players we do bring in. I know a lot of fans are still calling for another midfielder to be brought in, but I think the business there is probably done in terms of signing midfielders. I see this just short of 230V here in the live stream. If you are new to the channel and you want more videos like this, more live streams and a lot more on the channel as well, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below and click the notification bell so you get notified every time I upload. I'm hoping to be doing some videos with fellow Tottenham content creators in the next couple of weeks. Yesterday I did a match preview for Lokomotiv Plovdiv with Charlie THFC and his channel, and I've been on We Are Tottenham TV's live stream tonight as well after that game, so I'm hoping to do a lot more stuff with that. Hopefully I'll have something out with We Are Tottenham TV on this channel very, very soon. So again, if you do want that content, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below and click that notification bell. If you have enjoyed this live stream, as always, please give it a big thumbs up, and hopefully I'll be back tomorrow